Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, the place where we dive into cool ideas, spark some inspiration, and sometimes totally flip the way you see the world. Today, I've got an epic topic to share with you, one that might just change how you live, how you think, and how you deal with all the noise around you. It's called, the benefits of ignoring other people. Yep, you heard that right. Ignoring isn't rude, it's not selfish, sometimes, it's the secret superpower you need to live a freer, happier, and more successful life. So, grab a seat, get your coffee or whatever you're vibing with, and let's jump into this awesome journey together. Part 1, Noah's story, when ignoring saved the world. First off, let's take a little trip back in time, not with a sci-fi time machine, but with our imaginations. Picture this, you're standing in the middle of a massive, sun-scorched field. The air's dry, the sky's clear, and all around you, people are laughing, pointing, whispering to each other. In the center of it all is a guy named Noah. You know Noah, right? The dude from the Bible with that giant boat that became a legend. Noah's story isn't just some ancient religious tale, it's a hardcore life lesson that I think every single one of us can learn from. So, here's the deal, Noah gets a message from God. Build a giant boat, God says, because a massive flood's coming to wipe everything out. Now, imagine hearing that in a world where nobody's even thinking about rain, let alone a flood big enough to drown the planet. Sounds crazy, right? I bet it did. Noah's out there in this tiny village, surrounded by people who think the weather's always going to be perfect. But Noah doesn't care. He starts building, plank by plank, nail by nail, day after day. And while he's at it, what happens? The people around him start mocking him. They're laughing, saying, "Hey Noah, you old nutcase. What's with the giant boat in the middle of nowhere?" Some probably called him insane, saying he's wasting his time on a dumb idea. But here's the coolest part, Noah doesn't give a rip. He ignores them all. He doesn't stop to argue, doesn't try to explain himself, doesn't let their taunts shake his belief. He just keeps hammering away, day in and day out, until the ark is done. And then, when the rain starts falling, when the floodwaters rise, what happens? Noah doesn't just save his family, he saves an entire world of animals, from giant elephants to tiny birds. If Noah had listened to the crowd, if he'd let their jeers stop him, that story would have ended very differently. So, what's the takeaway? Sometimes, ignoring the pointless noise around you is the only way to get the big stuff done in life. Part 2, is ignoring really a bad thing? Let's rethink it. Alright, so we've got this killer example from Noah, but let's bring it back to our world today. I've got a question for you, do you think ignoring people is a bad thing? Be real with me. Most of us grew up being told that if we don't reply to a text right away, if we don't pay attention to every word someone says, we're gonna come off as rude, arrogant, or even stuck up. I get it, nobody wants to be that person, right? But hold up a sec, let's dig a little deeper together. Who says everyone deserves your attention all the time, every day? Think of your life like a smartphone. Every day, you've got a limited battery, your energy, your time, your focus, it's all finite. So why do we let just anybody ring the bell, send a notification, and drain our battery without even asking? I'm not saying you should turn into some cold, distant robot who shuts out the world, nah, that's not it. What I'm saying is, you've got the right to choose. You get to decide who's worth your time, who's worth your attention, and who's not. Ignoring isn't about being a jerk, sometimes, it's about protecting yourself. It's you telling the world, hey, I've got my own priorities, and I'm not letting anyone derail me from my path. Part 3, Thinking for Yourself, Wisdom from Emerson. And if you're still on the fence about the power of ignoring, let me introduce you to one of my old pals, well, more like a legendary philosopher I totally admire, Ralph Waldo Emerson. If you haven't heard of him, buckle up, because Emerson's one of the sharpest minds to ever write about what it means to be your own person. He's got this famous line that I think is pure gold for anyone trying to live true to themselves: what I must do is all that concerns me, not what the people think. Let that sink in for a second. It's powerful, right? Emerson's not saying you should ignore everything blindly. He's saying you've got to trust your gut, trust the path you've chosen, more than you trust what society or the crowd tells you to do. Back in Emerson's day, there was no social media, no Twitter or Instagram to mess with your head, but he saw a timeless truth: people get so caught up trying to please everyone else that they forget who they are. Ever felt that way? Have you ever changed your plans, your opinions, or even your dreams just because you were scared of what others might say? If you have, you're not alone, but here's the good news: You can change that, starting right now. Part 4, Social Media, the silent thief of your peace. Speaking of pleasing others, we can't skip over one of the biggest culprits in our modern world, social media. I love social media, don't get me wrong. It's awesome for connecting, sharing, and finding cool ideas. But here's the thing, it's a double-edged sword. Studies show that if you overuse it, scrolling for hours, reading every comment, watching every story, you're setting yourself up for anxiety, depression, and even sleepless nights. Ever felt like your brain's just stuffed with random junk after a long scroll session? I've been there, and I bet you have too. Social media's like a giant buffet, some of it's delicious, but too much of the wrong stuff will leave you feeling sick. The problem is, we don't know when to stop. We get sucked into negative comments, endless drama, and those people who just want to drag you down so they feel better about themselves. I call them energy vampires. They don't bite your neck like in horror movies, but they suck the life out of you through every word, every post. So, what's the fix? Easy, learn to ignore. Turn off those notifications, unfollow the toxic accounts, and focus on what actually matters to you. Your attention is gold, don't let anyone steal it. Part 5, How to take control of your attention. Alright, so now you see why ignoring's a big deal, but how do you actually do it in real life? I've got some tips I've used myself, and I'm pretty sure they'll work for you too. First, try turning off your phone, not forever, just for a few hours a day. You'll be shocked at how much you can get done without that constant ding-ding pulling you away. Second, cut back on unnecessary interactions. You don't have to reply to every text, don't have to jump into every online argument. Save your energy for the stuff that counts. Next, steer clear of negative people. You know the type, the ones who always complain, always criticize, and never have anything good to say. I'm not saying you've got to ghost them forever, but set some boundaries. And finally, try a social media detox every now and then. A day, a week, or even a month without Facebook or Instagram. Sounds scary, but it's like a vacation for your soul. During that time, do what you love, read a book, take a walk, hang out with friends in real life. You'll feel so much calmer, I promise. Part 6, Focus on your goals, the secret of greatness. If you need more motivation to ignore, just look at the greats in history. Think about J.K. Rowling, the woman who wrote Harry Potter during the toughest days of her life. She was a single mom, broke, and got rejected by tons of publishers. You think she had time to worry about what haters said? Nope. She ignored it all and focused on her story. Or take Nikola Tesla, the genius everyone called crazy when he talked about his wild inventions. If Tesla had listened to the doubters, we might not have electricity or half the tech we use today. These people had one thing in common, they knew how to shut out the noise. They didn't let the world's chatter blur their vision. And you can do that too. Whether your goal is to write a book, build a career, or just live a happier life, learn to say no to the stuff that doesn't push you forward. Ignoring isn't giving up, it's focusing. Part 7, Pick your people, quality over quantity. And don't forget about relationships. I love this quote from the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. He said people are like porcupines. Get too close, and you'll get pricked. Stay too far, and you'll feel cold. Life's the same way. Having a ton of shallow connections, people you meet once and forget, isn't as good as a few deep, real friendships where you can be yourself without judgment. You don't have to please everyone, it's impossible, and it's not worth it. Ask yourself, who really cares about you? Who makes you feel better after you talk? Those are the people to keep close. And the ones who just demand, criticize, or drag you down? Time to ignore them. Your attention's too valuable to waste on people who don't deserve it. Part 8, How to ignore and stay confident. So, here's the big question, how do you ignore the negativity and still keep your confidence strong? I get it, it's not easy, we've all been hurt by a mean comment or a harsh jab. But here's how I handle it, and I want to share it with you. First, figure out where the negativity's coming from. Does this person really know you? Are they trying to help or just hurt you? If it's baseless crap from someone who doesn't matter, don't sweat it. Second, learn to tell the difference between constructive criticism and toxic nonsense. Constructive stuff helps you grow, it usually comes with useful advice. Toxic stuff? It's just meant to tear you down, no value at all. Picture a mental filter in your head, keep the good, toss the garbage. Third, build your confidence from the inside. Focus on your strengths, the wins you've racked up, no matter how small. When you believe in yourself, the negativity can't touch you. And last, use silence as your weapon. You don't have to react to everything. Sometimes, not responding is the smartest way to show you're stronger than they think. Part 9, Wrap Up, Own Your Game. So, there you have it. We've gone on a wild ride, from Noah's Ark to real-life lessons for today. Here's what I want you to take away: your attention is your most precious asset. Nobody gets to force you to listen, to care, or to live their way. Ignoring isn't weakness, it's power. It's you telling the world, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not letting anyone stop me. Stand up, own your game, and live a life you're proud of. If you love this, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with your crew. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what have you ignored to get to your wins? Catch you in the next video. Stay awesome, everybody.